Hello, this is Dostal Sanj, Senior Director of Solution Architecture here at Appcito. I'm delighted you could join us today for this session entitled Cloud Services Proxy, whereby we'll be configuring AWS cloud applications for availability, security, and analytics. So let's take a look at AWS Cloud Setup. And here we have some incoming requests serviced by Route 53 DNS. And then that request is going to be serviced by Elastic Load Balancers, web application firewalls, and auto-scaling groups that are front-ending the application instances. In this case, the app is called demo.greatcode.org. So let's take a look at how Appcito then provides value for this kind of infrastructure setup. Call the application name my demo app. I'm going to point it to the endpoint called demo.greatcode.org. and leave the default AWS services and Route 53 DNS. The next step is to create an identity role. We call that an ARN in AWS. And here the role is already pre-existing, so I'm going to input the role that pre-exists. And in this case, it's called Demo11 DNS role, and I'm going to add a DNS provider. The DNS provider is Route 53, and I'm going to choose the same credentials and select your application infrastructure. So here we have the application infrastructure, and we found Elastic Load Balancers matching the endpoint, and they're already configured in the Elastic Load Balancer. So I'm going to go ahead and map the application instances. In this case, I'm going to leave the two server weights the same, as well as the load balancing rule, and I'm going to launch this Cloud Service Proxy, a CSP. So essentially what we're doing here is we're going to introduce a cloud service proxy by replacing those three different tiers, and the smart load balancers with the web application firewall and the auto scaling groups are now being serviced by this cloud service proxy. So now that the cloud service proxies have launched, we keep the default sizes for the instance, the auto scaling, and then we're going to select the subnet and hit continue. Once the application has launched, you'll notice that we have the application name, my demo app, and demo.greatcode.org is now the application domain. And we're going to go ahead and enable the cloud service proxy. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at the Route 53 entry. So here's demo.greatcode.org, and here's the Elastic Load Balancer associated with that. We'll also do a dig command to see what demo.greatcode.org provides as far as the ELB entries when we do a dig command here. It's the same entries with the associated IP addresses. Now we're going to go back to the interface and enable the cloud service proxy, which will update the DNS entries. This is relatively instantaneous, so it says CSP enabled successfully. So we're going to go back to the Route 53 DNS entry. We're going to do a refresh on the screen and go back to demo.greatcode.org. And now you notice that the Cafe Node PEPs are in place of the ELBs. And if we do a dig again, I'm going to do a clear and enter the same command for the dig, and you'll see that the Cafe Node PEPs are in place now. So if we go to our demo dashboard for the demo portal, and we just navigate to a few form and elements, and this is essentially some dummy data that we have just to generate some traffic so we can push this information through the cloud service proxy. And now I'll go back to the Appcito application and the dashboard, and we'll look to see some of that data pass through the cloud service proxy. And in this case, you'll see that demo.greatcode.org is the most popular domain. Now that we have traffic passing through the cloud services proxy, I'm going to go ahead and enable a security rule that will allow us then to prevent any malicious attacks. So here I'm going to go to a smart flow, to security, and I'm going to enable a web application rule for SQL injection and cross-site scripting and a couple of other threats that I want to prevent. I'm going to go ahead and hit update. And now that rule is in place. If I go back to my demo dashboard and I go to attacks and I send a couple of SQL injections, and I'm going to hit maybe another time here, and I'm going to return home and select cross-site scripting attacks. So here you'll see I've sent a couple of cross-site script attacks. And now I'm going to go back to my Appcito interface where we had the analytics dashboard. And what you'll note here that we've started to block certain requests. And as I refresh this page, you'll start to note that additional requests are now being identified in the dashboard itself. And there you see additional blocked requests. I can drill down on that further as we start to populate some of those attacks that correspond to the log entries. So with that, what you now have is a Appcito solution that's consolidated all of those capabilities in those disparate tiers into a smart load balancer, web application, and auto scale group solution. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention. And if you have any questions, please contact us at sales@appcito.com or call the number that's on the display. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and attention.